is structured with 42 comprehension-based questions where students will receive a passage of text followed by a selection of multiple choice questions. The idea is that the test requires no educational understanding, no formal teaching. All you have to do is read the passage of text and based off of that passage, answer the multiple choice questions that are provided. After the multiple choice section, students then have to answer an essay to complete the LNAT test. Now, the multiple choice section of the LNAT tests for a few different things. It tests for comprehension, analysis, interpretation, induction, deduction, and synthesis of information. In doing the LNAT test, what you'll see is that it's very similar to other types of verbal reasoning tests that you may or may not come across. And in my preparation, not only did I do practice LNAT tests, but I did practice verbal reasoning tests and practice Watson and Glaser tests, because these tests are very similar to that of the LNAT. What this will allow you to do is get used to seeing more of the questions that you'll see in the LNAT test, get used to spotting the issues and using the answers provided to work out what the answer may be, and what you'll find is that your overall deduction and your ability to answer their questions will improve. Now, there are some other resources that are available that I personally didn't use, but I do know people who did. So there are books available and some good plug-in DVDs that you can use that will walk you through the LNAT test stage by stage and give you the opportunity to really test yourself on sample questions and mock papers. In terms of preparation, I almost exclusively used past papers and online resources. As soon as I sort of realised that it wasn't something that you could educationally prepare for, but more something that was testing your ability to recognise the question and find the answer based off the multiple choice options available, I think for tests like these, the best way to prepare is to look at the past papers and really just work through them. Once you get used to seeing the questions and seeing how they structure the questions and what kind of things they're asking you to do, you can become more proficient in spotting the issues and spotting the answers. Now, at its core, the LNAT is just another component of your overall university application. So think about it in that way when you're preparing. Now, I wasn't too daunted by the thought of doing the LNAT, but I knew that it deserved to be given as much time as the other components of my application. There's no point spending ages working on a really good personal statement and a really good overall application if you're going to then rush your preparation for the LNAT and not perform as well. So for some universities, the use of the LNAT is merely just as a weighting tool to look at students who may be on the borderline between getting an offer and being rejected. For other universities, they place more weight on it and will use it as a key important part of their application process. Now, in your preparation, I think it's important that you don't neglect the essay. I think students often place a lot of emphasis on making sure they're prepared for the 42 multiple choice questions, but don't really think about how they're going to approach the essay. The essays are usually quite broad, and they don't really require a lot of previous understanding to be able to answer them. So I think it all comes down to structure. Take a lot of time to think about planning the question out and what you're going to say and what your arguments will be before going and following this simple structure. Start with an introduction, which shows that you understand the question by detailing what the question is asking you to do in your own words. Highlight the 3 or 4 arguments both for and against the question, and highlight what your arguments are going to be throughout your essay. Then you go through your arguments, create a discussion, make sure you're arguing both for and against the question, and wrap up with a well-balanced and well-thought-out conclusion. My advice to students would be not to apply solely to universities that require the LNAT. The reason I say this is because you don't know how the LNAT is going to be used and how the universities are going to place emphasis on the LNAT. Some universities will have high thresholds, some will have fairly low ones, and you don't know where your application is going to fall at the time you send your application on. So for me personally, I think I applied to 3 universities that used the LNAT and 2 universities that didn't, and I knew that even if I wasn't successful in getting my place at a university that I wanted that did require the LNAT, the strength of my overall application excluding the LNAT would mean that I'd be likely to get a place at one of the other universities. And I think that giving that diversification in the university you apply to takes some of the pressure off of that day of the LNAT.